For journal topic number 4, I decided to go ahead and use the course shell to put up an actual project and kind of show the progression of what I expect the students to do. So first, when they get here, they're going to be able to see the course announcements talking about the project. So the Texas Industry Project announcement says the requirements for the project can be found in the course content folder. You will have 1 week to complete this project with your group. So now students know they need to go to the content folder, which is on the left. And here's their Texas Industry Project. So before they get into the folder, they can see the 3 big things they need to do. They need to research their topic and create a presentation. They need to create a visual display for class interaction and create and monitor a discussion post related to their topic. So the project requirements look like this. They will have to educate their class about a current Texas industry, something that affects their daily life and their future, and provide the class with their perspective on each industry, on what it entails, how it affects our world, and open a discussion on whether each of these industries is healthy for our future. So they're not just creating a report, they're kind of opening a debate. So this is where the learner-to-learner discussion comes in. So the assignment is 3 parts. So first is the lesson. You may shape your lesson however you wish, a PowerPoint, a video, an animation. The basic thing is I want you to explain your topic to the class. Their visual display needs to accompany it. It's a way to make their topic tangible, something that the class can touch, something that offers more than what they discuss in their lesson. So it could be something simple like a collage of pictures if their lesson didn't include any. If they're doing oil, they could, if they had somebody to help them, bring in different types of refined oil. So, something from crude oil to kerosene, something of that nature. And then they also have to have an assessment. So the assessment is where the learner-to-learner interaction really comes into play and at a critical thinking level. So I actually use this in class, which is why it says Edmodo instead of Blackboard. But I want them to create a post on their topic and either have the class respond to a prompt based on their presentation, or they can have them watch an additional video or read an article, or they can come up with something else on their own. The goal is to make the class have something that's thought-provoking and not simply have either a direct answer or one answer that gets repeated over and over. Now, they're responsible for monitoring the discussion and making sure that they answer questions and post additional questions to keep the progress going. So I've created a sample of the discussion for today, and I used the oil drilling and hydrofracking topic. So underneath all this is the topics. So they can have the early Texas economy or shipping, Spindletop and early oil deposits, oil drilling and hydrofracking, which is what my example is on, uses for oil, or the lumber industry. So on the oil drilling and hydrofracking topic, they'll need to watch a video on hydrofracking, which for some reason is not linked now. I linked it twice, but this is the video. So I'll show you a little bit of it.
Hydrofracking? If not, then allow me to introduce you to a growing environmental controversy that will no doubt be debated for many years to come. The term hydrofracking is short for hydraulic fracturing. To break that down further, it more or less means cracking or breaking through the use of water. It's part of a process by which natural...
Now, the video goes on to cover what hydrofracking actually is, but then it goes into some of the side effects and cites people's groundwater being contaminated. It actually shows some. It talks about people actually getting ill. It discusses the chemicals that are involved and questions whether or not we should be using hydrofracking because of a lack of evidence that supports whether hydrofracking is safe. So the question, go back. It's getting excited. Okay, so the question is, much of our oil extracted in our area, specifically with Eagle Ford Shale sites, is extracted using hydrofracking. After watching the video, how do you feel about the amount of research that has been conducted to determine the safety of hydrofracking? Identify at least one risk and whether or not you feel it is enough to seek an alternative method of oil or natural gas extraction. How will keeping or eliminating this method of extraction impact your economy locally or globally? So the first response was after listening to the video, which here's where I linked the video, so I need to fix that. But after listening to the video, the dangers of hydrofracking and the fact that no one has researched the risks of the widely used practice leave me feeling skeptical and worried. The EPA has began a study of hydrofracking in 2011. The report says many of these formations have poor permeability, so reservoir simulation techniques such as hydrofracking are needed to make oil and gas production cost effective. In contrast, conventional oil and gas reservoirs have a high permeability and operators generally have not used hydraulic fracturing. However, hydraulic fracturing has become increasingly used to increase the gas flow in wells and are considered conventional reservoirs and make them even more economically viable. I can see why companies are leaning toward using this method. However, the video provided evidence that people's water supplies are being negatively affected and many are already sick. I do not want this to happen in my area, so they need to stop hydrofracking until we have more information. So then the student posts a citation. They also give the link to the EPA study, which the EPA study looks like this. So this is where the quote came from. Now, then my second post, so the reply, is if I was the actual group presenters and what I would feel. So thank you for your post. We feel that the issue is unsettling because there is so little evidence available that explain the dangers in using this method. You propose that we stop hydrofracking to extract oil. How do you think this will impact our economy either here in South Texas or across the country? So the presenters acknowledged the post. They commented on the significance of what the person said, but they also tried to help direct the conversation because the person, if you noticed, did not address all three questions that were answered of them. So they reiterate, how do you think this will impact the economy either here in South Texas or across the country? So they're trying to keep A, the conversation going, and B, making sure that all parts of the conversation that they proposed are being taken care of.